So thanks for participating and thanks for the feedback. Now we'll move on to the agenda for this evening. You are in for a real treat, as two of my esteemed colleagues will be talking about the arts program. Tonight, you will hear from Dustin Ramirez, our Director of Performing Arts and Choir, and Melinda Johnson, our Visual Arts Department Chair. Later in the program, we will provide you an opportunity to ask questions in order to learn more about the arts program. My colleague from the admissions office, Sharice Welsh, will be joining me for the application process Q&A. Here are the expectations for this event. By now, you probably have noticed that both your camera and microphone are turned off. This will help our speakers avoid any distractions. During the virtual open house, we do encourage you to type your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will try to address all of your questions during the panel discussion, but please note that within the week, we will send out a transcript including all of the questions and answers that came up during the event. In addition, the recording of this open house will be included with the transcript. And now I have the pleasure of turning the program over to my colleague, Dustin Ramirez.
Good evening. I'm so glad that you've chosen to join us this evening talking about the arts. I'm actually coming to you live from the choir room in Carson Auditorium, so you can see behind me and see what the room looks like. As Mr. Francis did mention, I am Dustin Ramirez. I'm the Performing Arts Chair. I also teach choir and music theory. Our orchestra director is Mrs. Jamie Ramirez, my wife, actually. And then our theater director is Mrs. Magida Smith. Courses we offer in the performing arts. We have our middle school chorus. That is usually kids in 7th and 8th grade. Concert choir, 9th through 12th grade. Chamber singers is an audition group, usually smaller, around 15 to 20 kids, 9th through 12th grade. We also have our 7th through 9 chamber ensemble, so those are all instrumentalists. And then our 9th through 12th grade chamber orchestra. And you'll probably see there's an overlap on our 9th graders. Usually our 9th graders will come in and they are probably a little more advanced they're more advanced and are able to participate in the chamber orchestra. So they usually audition and bump up. And then we also have advanced topics in music theory. You have to be in 10th through 12th grade to participate in that. And this is the first year we're actually moving over to advanced topics. If you are interested in the AP, you still have the opportunity to take the AP exam at the end of the year. Just a few little nods about our department, about our performing ensembles. You can look right down the list. In 2018, our chamber singers received a superior rating at the Trills and Thrills Festival. In 2018 and 19, we attended the FAME National NYC Concert Choir Competition. We received 2nd place in 2018 and third place in 2019. Last year, our chamber singers won 1st place in their division in the overall high school choir award at the Music in the Parks at Six Flags. Our concert choir followed them right behind in 2nd place, which was awesome. And then we also participated in the 2013 presidential inauguration. We also participated in the 2017 New York City World Movement Day Convention in front of about 3,000 people, which was fantastic. And then last year, we were invited to perform at the 2019 NAFME National Conference in Dallas. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, we were unable to attend, but it was still a wonderful honor to be selected. We do have a private lessons program that functions throughout the day. They occur during your free period or study hall. They are $417 for 30-minute lessons, that's per trimester, and then $600 for 45-minute lessons per trimester. So you can choose to take lessons during the 1st or 3rd trimester all year long, but you are charged that amount for each trimester. We offer lessons in piano, voice, strings, violin, viola, cello, and bass. Guitar, we offer it in acoustic, classical, and electric bass. And then brass and woodwinds. And obviously there are things that pop up, instruments that pop up where kids go, I would really like to take on the following instrument. We would try our best to accommodate all of those requests. We have wonderful teachers who come in. There are adjunct, we have 6, They're an awesome team. It's so exciting to be in my office, listening to everyone rehearsing, practicing, taking their lessons. I love being just completely submerged in the process. Along with our performing ensembles and our music theory class and private lessons, we also have our Theater Arts Society. We have auditions in the late fall. The season runs from November to February. So many spots to fill. You can see actors, musicians, costuming, makeup, set design, lighting, stagehands. I'm sure I forgot something as I was listing all of that, but there are so many things. We have kids filling in, helping out. And then most recent shows that we've done this year, we did All Shook Up. A few years ago, we did Into the Woods, Steel Magnolias, The Sound of Music, An Ideal Husband, Godspell, and Fiddler on the Roof. We're already actively planning for next year. We're super excited about a few possibilities. And there you can see the final pose from this year. We did have confetti. That was, the idea was great, but then the cleanup obviously was a mess. But it was wonderful. It was a great show. I'm so happy our kids we all participated. And it was my pleasure to be a part of that. And then we are members of all the following on this list: NYSSMA, New York State School Music Association; NAFME, National Association for Music Education; LISFA, Long Island String Festival Association; SCMEA, Suffolk County Music Educators Association; and NISCAM, New York State Council of Administrators in Music Education. Now, in order for our students to participate in NAFME, LISFA, SCMEA, and NISCAM, they have to participate in NYSSMA, and their scores usually the ones that qualify them for these wonderful ensembles where they can participate with kids from all over Long Island. We have kids who go to Allstate, which is up in Rochester, New York, which is the whole entire state of New York. I have a student this year who's auditioned for All National, so we're really crossing our fingers, hoping that she gets in. But this is something that we regularly participate in. It's a wonderful thing for our students to have an experience outside of Stony Brook where they get to see what other schools are doing, what other kids are doing, the music they're participating in, and just finding that we're all kind of doing the same thing. So it's neat for them to participate in that. And at this time, I'm going to pass the reign over to Mrs. Melinda Johnson, who is the Visual Arts Chair.
Thank you, Dustin. As Dustin said, my name is Melinda Johnson. I've been teaching at the Stony Brook School for 20 years. I teach a variety of courses, from our middle school art courses to our most advanced art courses, AP Studio Art. This slide lists the courses we offer in the Visual Arts Department. Our art curriculum starts with courses designed for our 7th and 8th graders. And these middle school art courses challenge our students to grow in discipline, self-awareness, confidence, reflectiveness, and creativity. After that, our students have a variety of areas they can explore. Students can experience creating with their hands in our various 3D courses involving sculpture, architectural explorations, or ceramics. Students can also experience art and technology, pursuing photography, videography, or graphic design. And students can explore the more traditional studio arts that focus on drawing and painting. Both visual and performing arts courses satisfy a graduation requirement, and many of our SBS students find that even if they don't continue on with the visual arts, they still really value their time taking a few visual arts electives. And these electives help students use a different part of their brains, and these classes also offer a much more visual and tactile learning experience for them. A number of students do elect to make the visual arts an emphasis of their studies at SBS, generating a 3 or 4 year sequence that usually culminates in the AP Studio Art class, our highest visual art course. This is a demanding but also very enjoyable course, requiring students to develop a portfolio of work that investigates a theme. The students can advance to the AP level through a variety of paths, usually starting with either the traditional studio arts like drawing and painting, or else in the digital arts with photography and graphic design or videography. Once students complete 6 credits of SBS art courses of foundational electives, they can qualify to advance to the AP level. And you can see that on the next slide, some of the goals and objectives of our department. We want to challenge students to develop in their skill in aesthetic appreciation, in curiosity and self-knowledge, problem solving. And I'll also have you take a look at a few more goals on the next slide. On this slide, you can see that we'll challenge students to grow in their ability to evaluate and critique creative projects, as well as become prepared to be successful in a variety of creative fields for art and design. I'm very proud of the many regional and national awards our artists have won over the years. Every year I can remember in my time at SBS that we've had students who are recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing competitions. And not all of the students who develop as artists at SBS go on to art school. At the university level, but many pursue a major in the sciences or liberal arts, but they have benefited from the unique kind of problem solving and reflective thinking that the visual arts has given them. And they'll be able to bring these trainings into bear as they engage in planning and execution of projects in a wide variety of fields. The visual arts provide an excellent foundation for success in many different disciplines. SBS artists have become filmmakers, graphic designers, illustrators, photographers, and game designers. And of course, a number of our most dedicated artists are interested in focusing on the visual arts in college, and I'm very proud of their success in being admitted to some of the most prestigious visual arts programs in the US. I'll now turn things back over to Yuri Francis.
Great. Thank you, Melinda. And just a reminder that you can type in your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Before we start answering questions, I just wanted to take a moment to address a major topic that I believe may be on your minds. That topic is COVID-19. During the first week of June, our head of school plans to provide an update regarding the start of the upcoming school year. We plan to share that information with all prospective and enrolled families. I also encourage you to take a look at the homepage of our website and click on the COVID-19 update for the latest news. During this panel discussion, we would like to focus on questions pertaining to the arts program at SBS. And let's see. So one of the questions that came up, how hard is it to get a substantial role in the school play? And in some public schools, it is very hard because there is so much competition and so many students, many of them quite talented. So Dustin, how about you take on that question?
Sure. It's kind of an open question. How hard is it to get a role? It depends on a lot of factors. Obviously, we tend to focus more on our 9th through 12th graders for actual roles in a show. But this year we did have a few middle schoolers participate and have small roles in the show. But it mostly just comes, I mean, we don't necessarily take talent as our number one consideration. Part of it is commitment and getting to know you. And we want you to be a part of the program. So we always try to take as many kids as we can and plug them in places. And then usually what happens, like I have a little girl, well, she's not little anymore, she'll be a sophomore, but she came in as a 7th grader and she has done theater every year. And she finally got her role last year, you know, and she just kind of waited her time. So I would say that it's not difficult based on our school size.
Okay. Next up, can new students audition to be in chamber choir for this upcoming school year? Dustin?
Yeah, definitely. I've already done auditions for returning students, but any new student, we can do it a couple ways. You can wait until the new school year starts, but you can also reach out to me individually via email, and we can also set up something where we do something via FaceTime or Zoom. I'm really open to anything because I want to, if it's something that you're interested in doing and obviously can be a part of, we want to get that into your schedule now so it's easier so we can schedule all of your classes instead of waiting until you're actually scheduled for everything and then trying to adjust everything.
All right, thank you. Um, do you have to already know how to play an instrument to join the ensemble or the chamber orchestra? Dustin?
Yes, you have to have some basic knowledge on your instrument. Unfortunately, due to our school size and also our time limitations, it's hard for us to take beginners into the ensemble because you will find that you'll struggle a little bit. If you have basic knowledge, usually a year or so, you're normally fine. Our upper school ensemble, I would encourage kids who have a little more experience to be a part of it. That's kind of where the private lessons program falls into place. A lot of kids who aren't as confident will take a year of private lessons, and Mrs. Ramirez will actually just say, here's the music we're working on, and she'll give it to you and you spend time in your private lesson working on it. We've also had situations where if kids didn't feel comfortable actually performing, they'll still take the class, rehearse and everything, just to feel more comfortable playing with the ensemble until they feel that they're up to everyone's level. But to answer your question, I got a little off topic there, but to answer your question, you have to have some basic knowledge of your instrument.
Okay. How many times a week would a student take art and or music class as part of their regular studies? How about, I'm going to have both of you address this question. How about we start with Melinda?
Well, we would be in class itself in the studio for 3 days out of the week. Students also have the opportunity to take supplies back to their room or home to work on it outside of class. And we also have weekends that we have an open Carson, which is our arts building, in which they would have a dedicated chunk of 2 hours or more over the weekend that the building is open and available for their use.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Exactly.
I hope that answered the question as far as.
And Dustin, for music?
Same as art. We're in 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, how our schedule falls. And then just like Mrs. Johnson said, we have open Carson on the weekends. I actually think Mrs. Johnson's been open a little more lately. I don't know if you know if that's true.
Yeah,
I actually
a little more, depending on whether, if the art teachers need to be in there, we let our art students know we're there. Come in and work. It's open, so.
Yeah, it's been open a little bit more frequently lately. So, but our schedule follows the art side pretty closely.
Got it. All right, next question. How many art classes can a student, or let me rephrase that. What is the maximum number of art classes a student can take? Melinda?
I believe the number of electives that they can take are 2. So if they would want to, say, pursue music as well, they would need to do 1 music, 1 art, or if they have other electives that they would like to take, for example, STEM, then they would have to make room in their schedule for 1 class or the other. But the max electives that they could take are 2.
And do students audition for chamber orchestra prior to entering SBS? Dustin?
No, you do not have to audition prior to entering SBS. A lot of kids will send us videos, which we love to see and hear what you're doing, what you're working on. That's not a requirement by any means, but there is not an audition. Unless you are a 9th grader, you'll automatically be plugged into the 7 through 9 ensemble. And if you are interested on auditioning for a chamber orchestra, then you can audition. Otherwise, it's sign up and show up.
Great. Do you offer alto saxophone lessons? Dustin?
Yes, we do. We have a fantastic teacher. She's great, and we offer that. And just like I showed in previous slides, it's during your free period or study hall.
Great. And is the chamber choir a full year course or class?
Yes, all of the performing arts classes are full year courses. So once you've signed up for them, you're in them. So we don't we do hold a firm line, you know, after that drop period has ended for the school year in for the rest of the year. So yeah, it's a full year course.
Okay. And this last question, can my child take both music and the fine arts at the same time? Melinda, do you want to address that question?
Sure, yes. Yes, they can take both art and music at the same time because of those two electives that they have available to them in their schedule. They are able to take both music and art at the same time.
Okay. And this will be our last question. Do any students actually earn college scholarships through art or music? How about Melinda first, and then Dustin, you can address it after.
The Scholastic Art and Writing Competition does offer some scholarship money if you are receiving national awards for your work. There are many other opportunities that students could apply for, but that would be on their own into a merit on, and they would have to apply on their own to receive any of those scholarships.
Same thing for the performing arts side. We have scholarships that we give out yearly that students usually receive based on teacher nomination, but there are a lot more through the organizations that we're a part of that you can apply for, and that I just make available and let you know that they're an option. And then we have had kids who've gone on to college, not necessarily majoring in music, but have music as a kind of an extracurricular thing and have received scholarships to participate as well.
Wonderful. All right, so that wraps up our Q&A session. And at this time, I will review the application process. Please note that there is a lot of detail on this page if you go to the SBS website. The first step of the process is to complete the online inquiry form, which will enable the admissions office to stay in touch and keep you abreast of what's going on at SBS. Next up is the application, which includes a biographic profile, parent statement, and student essays. All applicants are required to interview, and all interviews are now being conducted via Zoom or Skype. In terms of testing, the most popular option is the SSAT, but we also accept the IC, PSAT, ACT, and SAT. If you are an international student, we also require the TOEFL. We do require a math and English teacher recommendation along with the completion of the principal guidance counselor form. Any administrator at the school that knows your child well can complete that form. Applicants should also submit their transcript for the current school year along with the 2 previous school years. And for those families that may require financial aid, parents will complete a financial aid application and submit financial documents to TADS, that's TADS, and TADS will assess the family's financial need based on the information provided and send a report to the admissions office. And now on to next steps. If you haven't done so yet, we encourage you to complete the inquiry form, and my colleague will type the URL for you, and you should be able to see it in the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. We want to help you navigate this process while also learning more about SBS. And in order to stay in touch, please email our office at admissions@sbs.org. And within the next day, you will receive a survey. And we hope that you will take a few minutes to share your feedback. And don't forget to check out our social media channels. Next week, we have another exciting event planned for you featuring our STEM program. And you can actually register right now by clicking on the link in the chat feature. And it's going to be the same time, same place as always. We hope you'll be able to join us. I want to thank our audience along with our panelists for joining us today. And at this time, we will take questions about the application process, and I'll be joined by our Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid, Sharice Welsh.
Okay, if we have any questions, please go ahead and type them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We are still accepting applications. And so therefore, if you are interested, we do encourage you to reach out to us. We do have some spots available still for various grade levels. So please go ahead and feel free to do that. Still looking in the Q&A box. It looks like perhaps we're pretty clear and solid for the questions. I know we took a lot of questions last week, so if some of you were with us last week, we probably did already answer that for you. But certainly if there are additional questions that come up between now and next week's session, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to provide you with an answer at that time too. So thank you so much.
Okay, so we got one question. How many spots do you have for juniors in high school? So, Sharice, do you want to address that question?
How many spots for juniors? So I can tell you that typically in our upper school, we do tend to have larger class sizes, anywhere between 80 to 90 students or so. And so we do have several spots for juniors right now. That class is not full at the moment, so we do have a spot for your junior, so please be in contact with us. Looks like there is another question as well about how difficult it is to gain admittance and what are some of the basic requirements. I am happy to say that the components of our application that Mr. Francis previously reviewed, we do look at them holistically. So there isn't one particular requirement that kind of has a different weight compared to another. So we are looking at all of the pieces. I do think that, just kind of as a little bit of a tip, the interview is really a great opportunity for students to use that as a way for us to get to know them beyond the paper stuff that we receive. So it really is a great way for them to just share a bit more about themselves, in addition to the kind of the scripted questions that we ask, but they can use that, to their advantage. And so, yes, the basic requirements would be all of those components: the interview, the transcripts or grade reports, letters of recommendation, and testing, and it depends on the grade level and things like that for the admissions assessment test.
All right. And then the next question that came up: can you still apply for financial aid for this academic year? And would it not be too late to be considered? And the answer is yes. We are still accepting applications for financial aid for the upcoming school year. So it's not too late. And we certainly encourage you to apply. And as I mentioned, you can go to our website under admissions, how to apply. Step number 7 is financial aid. And it includes all the details and instructions for accessing the TADS website.
Okay, and this looks like this might be the final question. With the SSAT and SAT test having been canceled because of COVID-19, what impact, if any, will this have on the admission process? And I can tell you that we we have been working very closely with those testing organizations to be kept aware of where they are in the process. We know that some offerings have been made for at-home testing and perhaps online testing and things like that. So we are being a bit flexible kind of in our process and trying to stay in accordance with those the opportunities that the testing agencies are providing, because we would like to, to have all of our applicants be able to take those tests and to participate in that part of the process. So we are willing to adjust and kind of be flexible, especially with the timeline for all of these things. And then we have even in some cases looked at, as Mr. Francis had said, things like the IC or some other types of admissions testing that could, perhaps be in its place. But yes, we are aware of the impact of the availability of the test, and we're willing to kind of work as best we can around that situation.
Wonderful. Ms. Welch, do you want to close this out?
Sure, yes. So again, we'd like to thank all of our panelists and our presenters, as well as our attendees, all of you for being with us tonight or today, depending on the time zone that you're in. And so we would just kind of bid you good day for the rest of today, and hopefully we'll see you back here again next week.
Thanks for joining us. Take care.